Let's just Slay the Spire beta patch 103. There are a lot of massive changes to the Ironclad and enemies. Now let's jump right into it. First up, let's look at the relic changes. There are 3 new Neal blessings. Neal's Bones, upon pickup, gain 2 random Neal relics. Add a random curse to your deck. Neal's Bones cannot get more Neal's Bones, so you cannot go infinite on floor 1. This is a gambling option. You can potentially get 2 Neal options that also give you curses. You can get 3 curses on floor 1. On average, this is probably pretty good. Most Neal bonuses are good, so for the price of 1 curse, getting 2 of them is a pretty good deal. Should be a good option if the pathing is flexible. Wind Boots, this allows you to ignore pathing for 3 nodes. You can save this until Act 2 as well. Usually, you're probably going to be able to get like 1 extra elite plus 1 extra campfire in Act 1, or you can save it for later. Pretty flexible. If you can spot a super high value path with Wind Boots, I'm going to say it's pretty good to take. I wouldn't really speculate on Wind Boots and like try to bring this into Act 2, so I would try to spend it in Act 1 as soon as possible. So if not a path like that exists, it's going to be a pretty terrible Neal option. Finally, File Holster. Gain a potion slot, gain 2 potions. In Slay the Spire 1, there's a gain 3 potions Neal bonus. That bonus was okay if you have very high early game risk. You can use the potions to get you through it. Similar idea here. Gaining a potion slot is good. It's half a potion belt. So not only do you get the early game power from the 2 random potions, you also get half a relic. If you are able to utilize these potions for some early elites or advanced hallways, I would say this is really good. Next up, they buffed the Regent specific relic, Regal Light. You should say create a colorless card, gain 2 block. Now it's create any card, gain 2 block. So this is going to work with generating status in combat with stuff like crash landing. A tiny bit of a buff to a relic, which was already pretty decent. Now it's even better. Next up, let's look at new cards and card changes. The biggest one on Ironclad, they have added not yet 2 energy skill, heal 10, upgraded to heal 13. This is a massive deal. There is no healing in the game up until now. This is the first card they've added that allows the player to heal. And healing is a lot better than blocking. You're able to stabilize a fight and get the certain HP for later combats. So it's kind of like blocking certain for a harder fight down the line. And 10 HP upgrading to 13 HP, that's a lot of healing. There are also a lot of ways to break this card. You can put the not exhaust enchantment onto it. Then you can just sit there and heal to full. You can have history course, which replays the last skill you played. Again, you can play this twice. You can have the relic, which adds a skill for the first skill you exhausted every combat, so you can get 2 copies of not yet. And the fact it's a skill, it exhausts, it plays with Funeral Pain, it plays with Dark Embrace, it makes corruption even stronger. This card is just going to be like the best card on Ironclad. Okay, maybe Offering is better, but Offering is Offering. They removed Grapple. This card was just a damage card that was okay early game. It kind of pops off the rage. It also plays with the Doll Relic when you play attack game and block. Grapple is pretty good with that. Other than that, it's just a early game damage option. Doesn't really scale particularly well into the late game. Removing it is not a big deal. It was not a super high impact card. And they did mention they think this is not super high impact. Colossus is moved from rare to uncommon. For a rare card, Colossus was already pretty good. You just take half damage. It moved to uncommon, so you can kind of get this every single run. And since Ironclad lacks weakness, this is basically super weakness. If the enemy is vulnerable, you take half damage. Very universal defensive option. Can fit into any deck. Next up, we have some silent card changes. Acrobatics is nerfed from common to uncommon. Acrobatics was one of the best cards Silent has to enable discard or just to have some card draw. Now you are less often going to be able to see it. Still a very good card. Prepared is still at common, so you can just pick Prepare to enable all your discard synergies, no problem. So it's not too much of a hit to the overall power of the class. Follow Through is nerfed. Used to be uncommon attack, deal 6 damage to all enemies, and if the last card you played was a skill, apply a weakness to all enemies. AoE weakness very strong, upgrades to 2 weakness, so it's a lot of weakness in one card. Now it just deals 7 damage. If you have 5 or more cards in your hand, hits additional time. So if you retained a card with Willy Plans, you have like a Snake Bite, you could proc this. You can also draw into more cards with like an Acro. You can also proc Follow Through like that. But at most, it's like 1 energy 14, and it's also pretty conditional. They're just better damage options on Silent and Follow Through. So a pretty mediocre to bad attack common on the Silent now. It's a pretty big nerf on the card. Momentum Mori is buffed. Base damage buffed by 1. It goes from 8 to 9. This card was not good, and it is still not good. The 1 damage on top is not going to make or break this card. You're usually not going to discard a card with this in hand. If you are able to consistently discard, you'd rather just have Slice Energy. This is like a bad Slice Energy if you really need it. Speedster was buffed. It was nerfed last patch from 2 damage to 1 damage, and now they buff it back to go from 1 damage to 2 damage. And the upgrade goes to to innate. So you're able to deploy Speedster turn 1 and play a draw, and technically it could do some damage. Again, 2 cost power, very expensive. The effect it has, also not so good. If you are able to draw a lot of cards, then you can probably win with basically anything. You don't really need a Speedster. Still not a great card. Now let's look at some enemy changes. So this hallway in Act 2 is removed. It's the Chomper Tunneler. It's an advanced hallway, so you cannot see it for the first 2 combats. This is like a middling advanced hallway, not the most difficult one, not the easiest one. So removing this doesn't really have a big impact on the power level of Act 2. The Evil Fog has been nerfed. It now only summons 1 minion, always. It used to summon 1 minion, then 2 minion, and it goes up. This fight is now not threatening at all. It used to be a reason for you to pick AoE in the underdogs. Now you kind of don't have a great reason to pick subpar AoE because this guy no longer does anything. You still have the 4 Phantasmal Gardeners, but if you can have a high single target damage to one-shot one of them, AoE is not super necessary there. Colony Elite has been nerfed. HP nerfed from 79 to 75. Since the HP threshold is 15, if you are able to max out the 15 damage every single turn, you can now kill this a turn sooner. So it's a bit weaker, and I do like this change because it's just a very nice number. 75 is a round number to go with the 15 damage cap. So that's a pretty nice change in my opinion. Burdonus is nerfed. The HP is nerfed from 99 to 90. This elite is pretty threatening before the nerf. You're usually expected to tank some damage because it attacks you every single turn. Now, maybe you can kill it a turn sooner with 9 less HP. The Doormakers reworked. Again, they will rework this boss every single patch. So the pattern has been shuffled and the overall damage number has been lowered. The Hunger, which is the first pattern, is the exhaust turn. Used to be a multi-hit, now it just deals 35. Scrutiny, which is no draw, used to do 35, now it deals 26, so significantly lower. Grasp, which was the lose energy turn, it used to be 23, now it's 11 times 2, so they shuffled the multi-hit onto the Grasp turn. It used to gain 5 strength, now the Doormaker only gains 4 strength, so it scales slower. And finally, it no longer applies -1 strength, -1 dexterity to the player. Honestly, the debuffs to the player doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but the overall damage number on the boss is just lower. It was not even a particularly threatening boss to begin with. Sure, the micro in fight was interesting, you want to play around the mechanics, but the power level was not super high, and now it's even easier. The Sandworm, Insatiable. The poison now ticks before it tries to eat you. So if it has the counter on 1, it used to be that poison will not proc and you will die. Now the poison will proc. So this is more consistent with how poison works. Poison is supposed to proc before enemies' turns, but that does make this boss significantly easier for a poison central deck. And that is all the changes. Some enemy nerfs which I felt was not super necessary, particularly the Doormaker nerf doesn't feel deserved. And Ironclad got way better block in Uncommon Colossus and healing, which is a big deal. Right now, I think you can generate the healing card in combat, but they are going to hotfix it, I'm pretty sure. So that's not gonna stick around. Let me know in the comments how you feel about this patch. Do you think the enemy nerfs are justified? Do you think Ironclad needed the healing card? Thank you for watching, and subscribe for more Slay the Spire strategy content and patch reviews. And I will see you in the next video.